When the scientists of Marine Land of the Pacific captured a live whale, history was made. It was my privilege to test whether the whale was friendly toward humans. Luckily for me, she was. In a few weeks, she became as tame as a trained seal, and just as smart. I was observing her attitude toward a giant turtle in the Marine Land tank when suddenly I heard a knock on the window. A page boy was waiting for me with an urgent message. A message that turned out to be more dangerous than any sharks or whales that I've ever encountered in the sea. The urgent call was from Tom Quinn, an old diving buddy of mine, and a lieutenant in homicide. He needed my help, so I got down to his office as fast as I could. Hi, Tom.
Mike, good of you to come right down.
Well, you said it was urgent, didn't you?
Yeah, it is. Oh, excuse me.
Keep those bugs away from me.
Oh, isn't this a summer cold, you know? Look, sit down. I got a problem that I think you can help me with.
Yeah? Well, what is it? Follow it.
Did you hear about the Tyler accident?
Tyler accident.
Yeah, Maria Tyler. She's skin diving with her husband, drowned day before yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. She swam down too deep. Oh, that was a tragic accident.
Was it? An accident?
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not convinced that it was. And that's where you come in. I'd like to get Tyler in here and have him tell you in detail his story of the fatal day, and then you tell me what you think.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not a detective. Besides, you've done a lot of diving.
Oh, Mike, I'm not in your league. Look, I need expert advice. A man's life is at stake. Bring Tyler in here. Okay, Mike.
Oh, what can I say? He's on his way in here.
Money. Thanks, Halloran. Tyler, this is Mike Nelson.
Hi. I've heard of you.
Tyler?
Sit down. I would like you to tell Mike exactly what happened that day.
Well, there's not much to tell. My wife Maria and I have been doing a lot of diving during the last few months. We're working on a book, or what we hoped would be a book of underwater photographs, combining two hobbies, photography and skin diving. Having a lot of fun with both of them. We were going to take some color pictures of the sunken wreck in Dead Man's Cove. I dropped anchor while Maria screwed the camera into the underwater housing. We studied the chart before we dove. It was a beautiful day, but Maria was in a mischievous mood. Playful, like a kitten. She swam down ahead of me. I have sinus trouble, and it takes me longer to adapt to the pressure changes than it does other divers. But Maria had no fear of the water, and often dove deeper than she should have. That day, before we dove, she promised to stay close to me and be careful. The wreck was down 32 feet on a ledge. Below it was a 500-foot drop to the ocean floor. Maria poked around the old ship while I set the shutter. She signaled me to take her picture and began posing for silly snapshots. We had quite a collection of them at home. Then, breaking her promise, she swam away from me, going deeper. I stuck with her, and she posed for another picture. Maria swam over to the ledge to pose for more pictures. My ears were beginning to hurt, but I stuck close to her. I checked my underwater housing to make sure that it was still watertight. Suddenly, while I was advancing the film, Maria dove down over the ledge. In spite of my warning, she swam deeper and deeper. My ears were about to burst. I was down 70 feet, and the pressure was killing me. I couldn't follow her. I had to get to shallower water. I looked down after her, praying that she would appear at any moment. But she didn't. I waited for nearly an hour. My air supply was exhausted. I switched over to the emergency reserve supply. Took one last look, and then I had to surface. I knew I'd never see her again. She was gone. There was nothing I could have done to save her. I begged her not to go that deep. She knew I couldn't follow her. I begged her.
He called the Coast Guard. They made a search. Couldn't find her.
This picture here, the last one of the sequence. What depth was that taken, huh?
Oh, about 70 feet. That was just before.
You have a flash attachment on your camera?
No.
Would you like to ask him some more questions?
No.
Would you wait outside, please?
Sure.
You're a big help. Why didn't you ask him some more questions?
I don't have to. Take a look at this picture.
Well, I already have. I don't see anything.
Look at the helmet.
Yeah?
What color is it?
It's yellow. Light yellow.
That's right. Yellow.
Yeah? I don't get it.
This picture couldn't have been taken at a depth of 70 feet like Tyler claimed. Yellow doesn't appear as yellow at that depth.
Why not?
As you descend, certain colors are filtered out of the visible spectrum by the water. They're absorbed. They become shades of blue and green. At great depths, they become grays and blacks.
Oh, is it possible his depth gauge was off?
No, not that much. This picture couldn't have been taken below 35 or 40 feet.
You mean at the top of the ledge?
That's right. Tyler's lie.
Halloran?
Yes?
Book Tyler on suspicion of murder.
Maria Tyler had drowned while skin diving with her husband. Lieutenant Quinn of Homicide suspected that she had been murdered. Now we had to prove it.
Mike, what are the chances of recovering that body?
You serious? No diver's been down 500 feet.
Well, I wasn't thinking of a diver. Drag, perhaps.
Oh, no. That wouldn't work. Look. See this? Rocky bottom. All along this area.
Well, And we haven't got a case. Without a body, we don't stand a chance in front of the jury.
Oh, Tyler, he sure picked the perfect spot. It's completely inaccessible. He knew we wouldn't be able to recover that body. At least not for a couple of years, anyway. By then, there wouldn't be anything left of it.
What do you mean, a couple of years?
Hmm?
What do you mean, a couple of years?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in a couple of years, we might be able to dive 500 feet down.
What, you mean in a free dive?
Yeah, could be.
Why, that doesn't seem possible.
They're working on it at the Naval Electronics Lab. I just got back from there.
How does the human body survive that pressure?
Well, they're developing a breathing mixture. And they're making a pill that's going to absorb the gases in the blood.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it sure does. A couple of years, we might be diving 500 feet. Maybe 1,000.
That's it. That's the answer.
What's the answer?
Can you act? Huh?
Tom had a plan to trick Tyler into making a confession. It all depended on my being able to convince Tyler that I could do the impossible.
You all set, Mike?
Yeah. Been waiting for you.
You got everything?
Everything.
Well, let's go.
We pulled out of the harbor and headed for Dead Man's Cove.
All right, this is it.
You're sure this is a spot now?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, Tom. Drop her here, huh? It's clear as glass.
Yeah. It's good, huh?
Put our gear on.
And now let's get this straight. I want you to be in the lead. You recreate that dive, movement by movement, exactly as it was. You understand?
I intend to, Lieutenant. I got nothing to hide.
All right. Here. Use this slate. Write down everything exactly as it happened and where it happened.
Whatever you say, Lieutenant. Happy to cooperate. Oh, Lieutenant, just one thing. I've got to go slow. My sinuses.
Give me a hand here with this, will you?
What kind of a lung is this?
It's a very special. I got it from the Naval Electronics Lab.
I've never seen anything like it before.
It's an experimental model. It's still classified.
And what are you doing with it?
Hey, let me borrow it whenever I want to do a special dive like this.
Special dive?
Oh, Tom, almost forgot my pill. Get it for me, will you?
Pill.
Ah, it absorbs the gases in the blood. Keeps you from getting the bends.
The bends? How can you get the bends at 35 feet?
Mike's going a little deeper than that.
Deeper.
I want to take a look around at the bottom of the ledge.
That's 500 feet.
Yeah, that's why I got this special equipment.
Well, that's not possible. World's record is only 420 feet.
Well, that was yesterday's record. That's just a sporting record, not a military one. The Navy record is still a military secret, you know. Well, I'm all set. How about you fellas?
Let's go, Tyler.
Yeah.
Pretty good job of acting. You almost convinced me.
Almost convinced myself. Tyler had told us the story that he followed his wife down as deep as he could, to 70 feet. But the color of yellow in his last picture, a color which doesn't exist at 70 feet, showed that he was lying. We believe that Tyler's wife had never gone over the ledge of her own free will. We believe that Tyler had murdered her at the old wreck at 35 feet, then weighted her down and let her body sink to the 500-foot bottom, where it couldn't be recovered. In the color slides, it had looked like fun, but Tyler didn't seem to be enjoying it. Then he swam over to the ledge. Beneath us, down 500 feet, was the body of Maria Tyler. I had to convince him that I could recover her body. As I started down, Tyler looked after me desperately. We were closing in on him. A trapped animal can be very dangerous. Tom was a good swimmer and knew how to take care of himself. But he made a mistake by looking after me instead of keeping his eyes on Tyler. It only took Tyler a second to spot a jagged piece of glass in the silt beneath him. Its knife edges made it a dangerous weapon. I was down 110 feet. I couldn't be seen from the ledge. Now all I had to do was to wait a few minutes to make it look as if I had reached the bottom. I didn't know that above me, Tyler was acting out a charade of his own. He was pretending that his ears were hurting him and signaled Tom that he had to surface. But Tom ordered him to stay where he was. Tyler pushed off and started for the top. Tom was right after him. Tom didn't know about the piece of glass until Tyler slashed through his air hose. Then it was too late. Tom had to surface, without Tyler. It was almost time for me to return to the ledge, but not knowing what happened above, I was in no hurry. When I reached the ledge and saw that both Tom and Tyler were gone, I swam for the surface as fast as I could. Tyler was a killer. He had killed once and would kill again to keep out of the gas chamber. He threw the motors into reverse and tried to run me down with the propellers. Submerged and cleared myself from those propellers, but then he would have gotten away. My one chance to stop that boat was to foul his propellers with my tanks. I slipped out of my scuba and swam up as Tyler steered for me. If my tanks missed the whirling propellers, I'd be ripped to shreds. The prop stopped. While Tyler was trying to figure out what had happened, I swam for the boat. Tyler was strong and cunning. He was fighting for his life. I preferred to fight him in the water. Without our scubas, the winner would be the man who could hold his breath the longest. Gulps of seawater, and he became a model prisoner again.
Yeah, there you go. I thought you'd had it when he ran that boat over you.
So did I. The law had Tyler. He tried to kill Lieutenant Quinn. He tried to kill me, to cover up the murder of his rich wife. We both knew now that a full confession would follow.
Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? When there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of Sea Hunt.
is Mike Nelson. My job, underwater research. In my field of work, the understanding of underwater detonation is quite essential. The Navy taught me how to handle and respect underwater explosives of different kinds. But I never knew that one day, long after I had left the Navy, underwater explosives would nearly cost me my life. I had received a telegram asking me to charter an amphibian plane and fly up to the operating headquarters of the Hodges Engineering and Contracting Corporation in Canada. The wire didn't say what the assignment was. I would be told when I got there. If I didn't care to stay after that, I would return immediately with all expenses paid. When the amphibian landed, I was transferred to a launch and taken out to a barge moored in the channel. The wire said that I was to see Mrs. Evelyn Hodges. It didn't say that she was a very exceptional woman. Exceptional in a lot of ways. And with a very exceptional assignment for me. But she came at it very indirectly.
Mr. Nelson, I'm Evelyn Hodges. Good to see you.
Mrs. Hodges, nice to see you. Oh, it's quite a barge you got here. In your letter, you weren't very detailed about what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I think this is the easiest way to tell you about this job, Mr. Nelson. We keep it around to remind ourselves while we're out here.
Oh, yes, I remember this. That was terrible. This is just about where it happened, isn't it?
We're moored directly over the rock that sank this ship. Up here we call it Killer Rock. In the past 90 years, over 75 ships have gone down here. At least 1,000 people have drowned. Mr. Nelson, this is one of the worst shipping hazards in the world. Let me show you what it looks like. Our company has just been given the contract to blow the whole top right off that.
How does your company plan to do that?
Well, it's pretty involved. We start from that island. Right here. Drill a tunnel down here, across the bottom, up into the rock, and fill these tunnels with explosives.
Oh, that's pretty ambitious. There's been talk about doing this now for some time, isn't it?
Yes. Other companies have been offered the contract and turned it down. Russ, my husband, is our chief engineer, and he's determined to lick it. But he needs help, Mr. Nelson, and that's where you would come in. I guess I'd better tell you about it as long as Mr. Hodges isn't here to do it himself.
Well, where is Mr. Hodges?
Somewhere below us right now. Alone. The diver he worked with quit.
I suppose that should have been my first warning. The very fact that he would dive alone in tricky waters like these. No diver should go down without a partner. I sometimes do it when I don't want to involve others in danger. But just the same, it isn't right. And Hodges, no matter how dedicated he was to surveying Killer Rock underwater, to bringing back geological samples for analysis, had no business down there alone. What finally brought him up was the need for a fresh supply of air.
Hey, you must be Mike Nelson. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Mr. Hodges?
I trust you two came to terms and all that?
Yes, Mrs. Hodges took care of everything. Very satisfactorily.
She usually does. You know, she really runs this company. Oh, what do you say? You ready to go to work? How long will it take you to get into your gear?
Right now?
Well, sure, why not right away?
Well, as your new diving buddy, I'd like to make a few suggestions first.
All right, go ahead.
That weight belt of yours.
What about it?
Wearing the outside of your harness, you know that. You got no safety release on it. What's going to happen when you're down there and you want to get rid of it all of a sudden?
I tell you, Mike, I don't think I'll be in any kind of a situation that I can't handle.
You better have a safety release on that. And wear it on the outside of your harness, huh?
Okay. Now can we go to work?
You usually throw your tank down like that?
Oh, why not? It's empty. That's why I came up, to get a fresh one.
Oh, it's not the tank. It's the regulator that I'm concerned with.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Keep it up. Like that, huh? And it won't get damaged, and your hose won't get cut.
You know, he's right. That's good stuff, Mike. I'll tell you what. Why don't you take charge of all this gear, huh? I'll handle the survey. Incidentally, Evie, I'm down 60 feet with it already. If Mr. Nelson would just get into his gear, I'd like to start where I left off, huh?
I hope you don't mind my making suggestions. I'd like to feel free to whenever I think it's necessary.
Oh, that's fine. As long as it doesn't involve a lot of diving falderall, it's going to slow us up. Well, come on, Mike, let's get wet. You can change over the boat, huh?
I'll be right with you, Mr. Hodges.
Russ!
Be right with you, Russ.
Before we went down, I felt sure there'd be trouble. Underwater, I felt it even more surely. Russ wasn't content to swim at a normal pace. He charged along as if he had to break speed records. I swam at my own pace. Ahead of us, we could see the wrecks of ships that had died on Killer Rock. A frightening reminder of the importance and urgency of our job. We had entered an area with strong currents. I signaled him that we should connect ourselves with a safety line. He motioned me off. He didn't want to take the time. Our first crisis was coming fast. For deep below the surface, a tremendous discovery was waiting for us. Russ saw it first. At least 90 feet down. The mouth of a cave that seemed to lead right into the rock. This could be the luckiest break in the world. If this cave went far enough and close enough to the top of the rock, there would be no need to dig dangerous tunnels. The explosives could be planted right in the cave. Russ couldn't wait to investigate it. He couldn't tell much from the outside of the cave. Russ signaled that he was going in. It was foolhardy with the amount of air we had left, but I couldn't stop him. I didn't know what was in that cave, or what might happen in it. But whatever Mr. Hodges was getting himself into, I wasn't going to be far behind. Russ and I were in an underwater cave inside Killer Rock, which was responsible for the sinking of dozens of ships. If the cave was long enough to fill with dynamite, we could destroy Killer Rock forever. But more important to me at the moment were the time, the pressure, our supply of air, and the fact that my partner was once again racing ahead of me, with no thought of the dangers that he might be running into. It didn't take Russ long to create his own danger. In his impatience, he caught his intake hose on a rock. He twisted toward it to free it. And then as he turned back, he inhaled water instead of air. The rock had torn his hose. He panicked. I quickly gave him air from my tank. He signaled that he was okay. Then I started to lead him out of the cave and up to the surface. There was no argument this time.
Oh, honey, you sure had the right idea when you sent for Mike. He just saved my life.
Thanks, Mike.
Your husband's a good diver, Mrs. Hodges. It's just that he's in too much of a hurry. He's moving too fast.
We found a cave. It can be a shortcut for the entire project. All we have to do is fill it with explosive.
If it's near enough to the top of the rock.
Well, we'll find that out just as soon as I have a few seconds rest, huh?
No. We're going to lay off until this afternoon. Then we'll go down and take a look. Okay?
Okay, boss.
We explored the cave together, this time my way. We took samples of the rock. We made diagrams and drawings at every level and turn. We made a complete record of depths and made careful measurements of distances. Finally, we drew an accurate diagram showing all the passages of the cave. The structure of Killer Rock was everything that Russ had hoped for. There was just one hitch.
What's the problem, Mike?
Oh, this amount of rock above the caves, it means that it would take at least 20 tons of neotrophene Y3 to blow it.
Well, we've got 20 ton.
No, that's not the problem. It's getting it in there. See those narrow areas? Here. Here. It'll mean that only one man at a time will be able to get through those passages.
And we can't get enough neotrophene in there before winter stops us. That means more ships might go down. Unless we use something else.
Liquid nitro?
Yeah.
Forget about liquid nitro. It's too unstable.
Evelyn, you know as well as I do, a gallon of liquid nitro is equal to a whole ton of dynamite.
But dynamite is safe to work with. Liquid nitro can go up any time with just one sharp jolt. And I know who you think is going to take that liquid nitro in. You. No, Russ. I won't hear of it.
Now, look, just one man working alone could get enough liquid nitro into that cave to blast Killer Rock off the face of the earth once and for all, and in plenty of time. Honey, don't get mad. I'll leave it to Mike. Am I right or wrong?
He's right. It could be done. Just about 20 dives.
Yes. If he didn't blow himself to kingdom come first.
Oh, Evie.
Have you ever worked with liquid nitro, Mike?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. What your husband wants to do would be dangerous, but it's possible. You could put each bottle of nitro in a separate can, surrounded with sponge rubber, made shock absorbent in every possible way. Only one man would be allowed to handle it. Always the same man. Just very, very careful. Could be done.
I just won't allow it.
What if Russ agreed to let me be that man?
I would still say no. Absolutely not.
You'll need a safety man, Mike. That'll be my job. Oh, honey, that's how we're going to do it.
Oh, why can't you wait?
Why? You know very well. This is why.
It's worth trying, Mrs. Hodges. We'll play it safe. Trust me, huh?
I packed each bottle of the explosive with every precaution. Even so, I knew that liquid nitro was so unstable it could be exploded even by a badly timed hiccup. I handled each one of those cans as though it was a day-old baby. No mother ever gave anything such loving care. They say a good diver should be able to hold his breath underwater for long periods. On this job, I didn't need anything else to make me hold my breath. It was all I could do to keep breathing. The passages into Killer Rock were long, but while I carried the nitro, they seemed endless. Russ acted as my safety man, with a spare air tank. If I didn't return by a prearranged time, he'd come after me. He felt honor-bound to share the risk, but almost as much as anything else, I was afraid that he'd try to help me when I didn't need help. The currents in the long passages changed without warning. One updraft knocked my head against the roof of the cave. The can slipped from my hands. I must have been living right, for if ever I had a charmed life, that was the time. It seemed hard to believe. I was carefully putting the last can in place. I still had to string the wire for the detonator. It led from the shore of a nearby island where the nitro safely could be set off from a blockhouse. All I had to do now was connect the wire to the terminals of the detonator can. Everything was going smoothly. Our job was almost over. It seemed impossible that anything could happen now. Suddenly I saw it. An electric eel, nibbling on the detonator wire. The shock he could deliver could knock a man unconscious, and it wouldn't take nearly that much electricity to detonate the cave full of nitro. I watched the eel and held my breath, trying to think. If I moved toward him and frightened him, well, goodbye, Killer Rock. Goodbye, Mike Nelson. Goodbye, Russ Hodges. The thought of Russ made it worse. He was waiting outside the cave, and the time agreed upon was almost up. If he came tearing in from the other side, the eel would be just as likely to fire his charge. And yet there was no way that I could pass that eel without frightening it. Time was running out. The eel was still there, still in contact with that wire. And I knew that Russ was starting toward us now. I couldn't wait any longer. My crowbar had an insulated handle. If my first blow could get the eel away from the wire, we had a chance. It worked. Killer Rock had lost its last chance to kill us. H hour for Killer Rock was at 0900 next morning. The killer became the killed in one of the most awesome explosions this side of the atom. And the headline that served to remind a man of his duty was now at last truly a story of the past.
I'll be back next week at the same time with another sea hunt story. Plan to be with us again, huh?